Just a couple of weeks ago, I said that the good girls are taking the identity of the hoes, and you bitches got my comments confused. We're not acting like hoes. Okay, well, since you don't understand what it is that you are doing that is hoe behavior.
Taking the convo to high levels. Comment, like, and subscribe if you're enjoying Durable Minds Radio.
Right here, I don't know if she's a square or a 304. I don't know. We gonna break. That's a story for another night, right? We really ain't gonna jump into her details. We're really just gonna use her video to leap into the term 304, right? To where that term 304 is a safe zone. So when the females be on the internet, they can act like they're a 304, but not necessarily be a 304. And then they'll start acting like that towards the square man in the world. But then they don't want to be called a 304. You know what I'm saying? So we got a couple ears in here. So let's watch this visual. And let's get into it, huh? Let's jump into this visual and get into it. I seen a comment down here where it said definitely watered down. Squares use it too loosely. Correct. And within using it too loosely, the ones that are real 304s, right? The quote-unquote real 304s, you know, the real hoes in the lifestyle, but they still use the 304 because of, you know, they don't want to get banned and it's social media accepted, right? What's going on? So it kind of waters down the real 304 too. And this is what's going to lead to what I'm going to be discussing all night is that I'm a firm believer the term 304 is the reason why, you know, a lot of the tricks are trying to be cheaper with the females in the lifestyle. You know, that is the argument I'm presenting to y'all tonight, right? So let's get in this visual real quick. She plays this little video. Y'all probably seen it. If you are part of the community, y'all be in these, you know, on this social media, because this is where I found it. I believe somebody sent it to me again, and that's what made me jump into it. And she's basically going to give comparisons of 304, you know, square women that act like 304s on the social media, right? So here we go.
Taking the identity of the hoes while still trying to claim yourself to be a quote-unquote good woman?
Hoes ruined everything for us good women. Yes, I will repeat that statement. The hoes ruined everything for us women who did shit righteously. Dude, I can't even say I have a social media account without somebody going like, oh, OnlyFans. I can't even post a picture of me at Nobu without someone being like, oh, sugar daddy.
No, baby. The reason why you cannot blame the hoes is because the hoes are the only ones that are being authentic. They go into the situation transactional, they get the things, they do the things, they fly out, they do whatever they want to do. And y'all started wanting the lifestyle that the hoes got. That's the reason why everything is so fucked now. Everybody's dressing like the hoes. Everybody's talking like the hoes. Everybody is doing everything that the hoes are doing. Now nobody can tell the difference. There used to be a distinction between the two, good girls and hoes. But now everybody look the same. How you expect it?
Now you hear what she said. It used to be a divider between the two, right? And the reason why I believe there's a gray area now is because the term alone, 304. The term alone monetizes, right? The term alone gets people to go viral. So, of course, people are going to want to, you know, have a certain type of 304 identity, especially if they're on, you know, they're trying to have a social media presence. You hear me? All right, here we go.
Even be able to tell that you're not a hoe when you looking like one, you're acting like one, you're talking like one, being transactional like one, requesting things like one. Like, y'all did this to yourselves. Y'all want to live the life of the hoe. Y'all want the resources and the benefits of being a hoe without actually being one. You want the benefits of sex work without doing the sex or doing the work. And that's crazy. So if you want to blame anybody, you got to look in that mirror, okay? You got to look in that mirror because this is all your fault. Because if you were actually good women and you actually had morals and you were standing on those morals, then nothing would get you to waver from those morals.
And see, this is where I hear her, right? She's putting the more accountability on the square females. But when females that portray a lifestyle, right? Let's say they are in the lifestyle and they want to jump on the social media and push it out there that they're in the lifestyle. That's one of a telltale sign that they might not enter the lifestyle the right way, the right way. You get what I'm saying? To where now they're not understanding that they're opening up the door to a secret society, to where now you're creating that suspense is being gone. You get what I'm saying? The suspense is going to be gone, and a lot of girls are doing that. She's more telling the square females like, hey, don't jump, don't be acting like that on the internet. But if it was never presented on the internet, how would one know how to act like it? Right? If the term 304 was never created on the internet and the 304 movement wasn't pushed so big by the females, how would the square females even know? Bear, I got a short topic for you to speak on. Well, you got to put it out there. Put it out there. While you put it out there, we're going to let her finish. Because she got another clip. She talked to him in another way.
But taking the identity of the hoes while still trying to claim yourself to be a quote-unquote good woman, you're not fooling nobody, baby. At this point, everybody's a hoe. Just a couple of weeks ago, I said that the good girls are taking the identity of the hoes, and you bitches got my comments confused. We're not acting like hoes. Okay, well, since you don't understand what it is that you are doing that is hoe behavior, I'm about to show you.
The man was taking on a date. Moving forward, I now require a $100 refundable deposit.
To start charging a deposit if you ask to take me out on a date. If you ask to go out with me, and especially this last minute, like I need a deposit. I need like a $50 deposit.
We should start charging these men deposit to date us. Like, we should start charging them a fee to date us. Like a 30-day trial. You pay like $1,000 to date us.
Yeah.
So
I require a deposit to take me on a date to cover my date preparation costs. I'm now working with an app developer to make this a reality. There is a clear difference here where the woman can set the deposit rate and
So she's basically showing the example, right? The square girls was like, got in her comments, and now she's showing how a bunch of the square women are basically asking for dating fees, right? To where they're using the terminology, right? So now they learned the terminology from the 304s, because the 304s be making the content, right? Because it's comfortable to be a 304 on the internet and say that without getting monetized and without, and actually getting viewed, because you're putting 304 out there, right? So now people adapt to that lingo. 304 is constantly saying they're getting fees, to where now the square females, they'll jump out there, make their content, and it's in a relationship format, but it's still trying to use the same terminology from the lifestyle. You know what I'm saying?
and can pay for her date preparation costs. So I thought they're going to walk into the date already so happy, and that's going to lead to a better date. So when people ask, how did you meet? You can say, he courted me.
I like that. But hold on, how am I know you for real if you ain't sending a deposit? You gonna have to make sure I look, I'm gonna have to make sure I look good, so you gonna have to send that in. I gotta get my hair done, I gotta get a new outfit, I might have to get a Uber. My money is my money, you wanna see me. You wanna see me.
What's the deposit fee?
It depends on
It depends on who it is, right?
No, it don't depend on who it is.
You're wondering why y'all are packing out these singles events like the Million Man March. Y'all are desperate as hell and you confused as to why you can't find a man, but you're doing shit like this. And then, who gonna give a fat bitch $1,000 for a deposit? Are you sick? Have you lost your damn mind? Whenever you pay a deposit for something, you're paying a deposit. That is a down payment for a service.
And listen, the reason why I don't know what side she's on is because she kind of goes real hard on the square females, right? To where is she like a 304 herself? Because she doesn't really, openly say that, right? And if she is one of those 304s, then maybe she's brainwashed by that terminology, right? And maybe she's never understood what it is to be the hoe to a pimp, and she just knows of the 304 because she knows what a trick is. So that's why she's so defensive to the square females that's out there pushing it, right? Because she's for, hey, it's all good to be the 304 on the internet. Y'all need to figure out that there's a divider. And it's like, is it really? Is it really? The true divider might be in the true meaning, right? Not the internet openly 304 word.
You're purchasing something. If you're selling your time, you gotta pay me for my time. A quick visit? Cause you a hoe. Cause that's what the hoes do. Like, let's be so fucking for real. Y'all are doing everything that the fucking hoes are doing. I think you should send me a deposit.
You see how she says what the hoes are doing, right? So I don't really know what she's about, right? But I do know that the terminology 304 is the root of it all, right? And that's what I present to y'all tonight. So what's going on in the comments, huh? What is going on in the comments? Let's talk about it. I got another visual that's really touching on the same thing too, where we got two, this square woman is basically telling a story about how she heard how the lifestyle goes, right? And it's another square female that is intrigued with the lifestyle, probably because of the terminology 304, to where now it's an openly discussion. To where now, because of that terminology 304, the narrative of what a true hoe is all misconstrued, right? And you got to understand that's one way of looking at it. But the serious point of looking at it is where I'm trying to stem it to is how the trick is looking at it, right? How the trick is so exposed to the 304 before he has to spend any money, right? You can talk about just like how girls, take pictures. I don't really go there, right? Girls are going to do that, right? But it's just about the dialogue, right? The psychology part behind it. You get what I'm saying? The suspense part behind it. To where now, the trick is more open to negotiate and, compare and contrast because of he sees the 304 so much out there, right? And she's hearing on how the lifestyle goes. And I'm pretty sure she's hearing it through the terminology of 304, right? So we talking about the terminology of the 304, and is it truly watered down tonight, y'all? Because this is my argument that I present the audience tonight, that I present the broadcast, is that I'm a believer that the term 304 is the reason why the females are saying tricks are so cheap now. I believe that is the real reason why. And I'm just giving some visuals to break it down, right? The ones that just came in, go ahead, have a seat. We got one more to play. We played one already. This is the second one. All right, here we go.
That somebody sold a little bit of something, a little bit cat for $200. That's $200.
Damn.
That's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
That's not bad at all.
Mine's,
Okay. Think about it. $200 for how much? Like, for how long? That's not too bad. But then I was told that those are professional prices. I have I have to work my way up to that.
So she said, first off, these are squares talking, but she says somebody told her the $200. She's saying that's not that bad. But then they said that's professional prostitute prices. To where it was like, what? $200 is the professional prices. So we understand that she's talking to one of them girls, one of them younger adult ladies that call themselves a 304. That's what I'm assuming, right? That's my assumption. You know.
what's a professional?
Like, professional prostitute.
Yeah, but like, do they have tricks?
She wasn't even tricking. Like, back then, she would probably just put her legs up.
Well, why is it more expensive?
I think she just got a nice sucker.
Oh,
They said, man, they so square. He said, I think because she got a night.
There are some that will pay if you find the right one. And then there's some that don't want to pay. And then there's someone complaining if you're on a regular date and then they pay for a drink.
ain't gonna get no pussy
No, you ain't getting no pussy.
for a drink?
You think I'm a prostitute, nigga? Oh, sorry.
I'll be saying that too. No.
They is stupid.
I'm gonna edit that out.
They lost.
Anyways, I'm not. I'm not cooking.
I mean, it's cheap price, yeah.
Yeah, not for a drink.
Yeah.
What's $200?
Do anything once.
Yeah, all right.
I mean,
Now, y'all notice
facts.
that everything is stemming from money, right? And the reason I say that is because a lot of these females that are in the lifestyle, when they call themselves 304s, they jump on the internet and they're talking about only finance, right? They're talking about only money. And then they're stemming 304 with that. So when the females of the square world, when they adapt that 304, they're thinking it's about the money. So they utilize that with the square man in their world. But you don't realize what I know is that the square man in the real world, in the square world, is the trick man in our world. So knowing that, when the square man sees that the square females are acting like 304s and talking about, oh, they need to get a fee for a dinner date or whatnot, right? Then it trickles with their tricking mind. So when they get with the female of the lifestyle, truly of the lifestyle, right? They're going to be in negotiation mode because they're seeing that everybody, every female is thinking they're in that 304 world, you know? And that's why I'm trying to explain to the ones that do consider themselves true 304s, it might be time to, I get it. If you're on the internet, be put some quotations, but when you're dealing with your tricks and your clients, you might want to let them know, look, I'm not a 304. You feel me? I'm the real deal. So then they'll get a better understanding. Then that suspense will be back created. You get what I'm saying? The suspense will be back, you know? Because if it ain't no suspense, then what really is going on? You know? If it ain't no suspense, then what is really going on? And that 304 term, man, one would think it's like a coded language, right? You would think it's like a coded language. You would think, oh, you know, uh, it's an internal language. It's the street terminology. It came from the culture. That's what the broad surface level people be thinking, that the 304 term came from the culture. But reality it came from the internet. It came from the square world of the internet. You get what I'm saying? That's where it leaned more at. Now, did the ones of the lifestyle adapt it? Yes, they adapted it into their lifestyle. But what happens is now, because that happens, the social media, it mixes up everything, right? So now you got the street culture, you got dating content, you got viral slang, all mixed together with this word 304. So that makes it not, watered down for the true meaning of it, right? The true hoe, the one that's really trying to claim it, it waters it down, you know? And what happens is the tricks, because tricks is squares, they're not just like, oh, in the fucking under a rock somewhere. They see what's going on, you know what I'm saying? So they understand, oh, okay, I gotta come in, masculine and negotiating and doing all of this and doing all that, because the suspense is no longer there. You get what I'm saying? There is no longer any suspense. Like how black people adapt to the word nigga. I mean, I guess that's a good comparison. We'll have to dig deeper into that one. Because I guess you could say that is the term 304 watered down, definitely, because squares want to feel accepted in the lifestyle without adapting the title of a hoe, right? And that's what makes it harder for the female that truly is the hoe in the lifestyle, because she has to go against that, and she's actually not understanding, because she's for that too, oh, 304 3, we got type shit. And they're not understanding that there's a lot of the females that's doing the 304 thing, but they're not necessarily taking the hoeing part seriously. You know what I mean? They're not necessarily taking the hoeing part seriously, and that be the issue. That be the big issue. Who we got? What's going on in here, man? Who want to come up? Can we get some new faces up here? Or should we play this Judge Judy video where we got two more, supposedly 304s? And I just find these little videos because it kind of, encounters with what we're talking about, right? It kind of encounters to what we're talking about. And, there's a lot of cons when it comes to the term 304. They're just using terms in the culture. It's more to the hoeing than flat backing. And so reality is the term came from guys that was bitter because of their girls was either cheating on them or, wanting to get they OnlyFans content booming or whatever the case may be, right? So within doing that, they wanted to talk about it on the internet in their little guy groups, right? So they made it safe for the 304. And then the females of the lifestyle that was independent, prostitutes, they adapted it. They wanted to embrace it. the true hoes was the last one to embrace the terminology 304, right? You know, the true ones that was in the lifestyle already fucking with the pimping, they just seen on the internet that it just start trickling down within the real culture of the lifestyle through the square, where it's just the squares just pushing it out there. You know, and we pick, you know, motherfuckers want to be hip and young and start new trends, and people just start picking it up, and then here it is, right? But reality is, it's still dominated by the square, you know, guys out there and the square females out there. That's why they push it so hard on their own. You know? Let me see. Nowadays, it's good to act like some game, sound like some game, to use their benefits. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that's why I'm stressing to the females that it's okay to let it go, because you want to become incognito anyway to the trick, right? So even if you know, that's why it's different from the females and the males. When I see a lot of females flashy and pushing their shit out there, you know, I understand it's because either one, they're young adults and they're just trying to do their shit, but you got to understand that, okay, if you're gonna do that and you're not really doing that and thinking, see, a lot of these females, they'll do that and they think they're gonna get tricks on these social medias, and that's the way to do it. And that's not how it is. Like, so if you are one of them ones, usually you one of them ones that's really in the lifestyle, and you be on your social media, that's not where you're promoting your business, right? That you might be promoting how you're succeeding, but you're not promoting it. See, a lot of the ones that call themselves 304s, they want to promote their business, their brand, their 304 in on the social media platforms, and then on the same platform give by detail how the trick and this is supposed to go, and all of this access that the trick is supposed to already pay for before it's even exposed. You get what I'm saying? I don't know if I sped it up a little too much. You know, I get caught up and I just gotta keep going and trying to let it out. Let me slow myself down one time. But it just loses the original language, you know, the traditional term. You know, the traditional term hoe, right? It had a specific meaning. You know, it had some structure behind it. You know, even though people still used it wrong, it still was used wrong, but anybody that was listening could still think of some structure behind it. As for the 304, it's just like, you know, it's so broad. You know what I'm saying? It's so vague. You know what I mean? To where it naturally gets watered down over time, right? To where, you know, and from the pimp's eyes, you know, you have to figure it out on yourself too. You know, and I'm pretty sure a lot of gentlemen can agree. When you be on the social medias and then you see the girls with the 304 in their things, and then you start seeing, you know, because they show their story, you start seeing how they move. You be like, well, okay, this is one of those 304s. You know what I'm saying? This is one of those 304s. It's not one of the, you know, these 304s. It's one of those 304s. So you learned over time, and that's how I got to the conclusion of where I'm at now, right? The outsiders control the narrative, right? Basically, the outsiders, they defined it, right? Then the outsiders, they get to judge it, right? So it shifts the view of how the lifestyle really is. You get what I'm saying? To where now the females that call themselves 304s and use that 304 term, it's less accountability, right? You know what I mean? It can mean anything from dating behaviors, you know what I'm saying, to actually being in a real lifestyle. So that's why I said, when you be like, oh, those 304s over there, because that could be some dating behavior shit, you know what I mean? To where she's a influencer, you know, a content creator, you know, all of that, because in their mind, they're thinking they're the 304 because they're trying to sell sex appeal to a trick. You know what I'm saying? As for in the hoes, what they're missing out on is wanting to become a hoe, because then they'll be the other side. Then they'll understand the pimping side. You get what I'm saying? And the coldest part is the 304 was only meant for the female who had to use pagers back in the dates to let they folks know it was them when they were using pay for. Right, right. It was for show. Like, and I get that, right? I do understand it was for show, a coded word back then in the day, right? To where, you know, you could spell it backwards and it meant something, right? When you have the pagers. But because since the internet, see, everybody, only you have to be in the subculture to know that, right? It wasn't like everybody, it wasn't like the square females was, when they had their beepers back in the day, would just be playing with each other, texting 304 and calling each other hoes and shit. You know what I mean? Because they didn't know. But when it came to the internet, through the square way again, you know what I mean? Because people was trying to be creative and they probably heard as a kid, oh, 304 means hoe backwards, and they're already using the word out of context because they're calling hoes that are square females anyway that just cheated on them. You know what I'm saying? So from the start of the squares using from getting on the social media, it's been out of context. So now that's why I tell the real females, and I get it, they doing their social media thing and they like being up there and they like to be incognito. Just don't do nothing. Don't put nothing up there, You don't gotta, you could be unique and showcase how you live your life, and if you want to put it in words, just use your brain a little bit more, That's the catch. That is the catch. All right, let's get...
Before you slide, press subscribe. Durable minds, radio, logic apply. Hit the button, elevate your grind. High level conversation.